football fan, was banned from attending matches for years to come after being investigated by the Premier League because she tweeted her views about trans women, well, not being women, because they aren't women. Well, joining me right now is that Newcastle fan, Linzi Smith. Good afternoon to you, Linzi.
Good afternoon, Julia. Thank you for having me on.
This is one of those stories. If I'd read this 4 years ago, I'd have gone, oh, this is clearly made up nonsense. It's obviously a spoof. Now we know these are the sorts of things that happen. That people who have certain views, it's what's called gender critical. No, it's called knowing biological fact. That's what it actually is. Knowing biological fact and being open and honest about it. That can get you not just banned from social media or losing your job, but banned from going to your football club, which has nothing whatsoever to do with your views on trans ideology. Let's start from the beginning here. How did you first hear about the fact that there had been a months-long investigation into what you were writing on social media, your views, and indeed even, it turns out, where you lived and where you walked your dog? What was the first you knew about this?
The first I knew about it was when I checked my emails on the 1st of November. I was checking when the Chelsea ballot was going to open. And I saw it was going to open on the Thursday. So I was like, well, I'll get in that one. And then above it was an email from the security office. I opened it up and it just said, your membership's been suspended because it's come to our attention that you're under investigation for a hate crime with Northumbria Police. That was the first I heard of anything at all.
A hate crime. And you're thinking, what on earth have I done? Did you know what they thought you had done?
At the time, no. I immediately, as soon as I saw the email, I immediately phoned the security office because I was thinking, surely if I'm under a police investigation for something this serious, I would know before the football club does.
Yes.
And I phoned them up and they told me that I was. So then I phoned Forth Banks Police Station. They told me that I wasn't, so it was just a week's worth of back and forth with the police saying, no, I can't find anything, but the club adamant that I was. So
okay.
It was.
And then you had a visit from the police.
A week after it all began, and like I say, after a week of chasing, I got home from work to a slip put through my door and it said victim support on it. So I actually thought that was about the complaint I've made about the harassment I've been receiving. And when I called the number, it turned out it wasn't. It was about this allegation. And they still didn't even tell me what the allegation was even then.
Extraordinary.
So,
you ended up having the police officers came to your door. You refused to let them in and then agreed to be interviewed at the police station for some 30 minutes the next day. And the allegation is, this was extraordinary. You were investigated by the Premier League, effectively. They were in charge of this investigation. And by an organisation set up effectively to tackle, racism in the sport, to stop, having racist fans making racist chants in stadiums, something I think we'd all agree we don't want to have happen in our football world. You'd not been accused of that. What you had done had posted some tweets about your views on trans issues, something that's particularly close to your heart as a gay woman, in terms of how let trans ideology and rights trample on not just the rights and safety of women, but also the existence almost of gay women. So tell us what you had written that was so awful and possibly criminal.
I was questioned over a tweet I made where I put a little picture up and it just said, just your daily reminder that trans women are men. Another one I was questioned over was why do I have LGB in my bio and separating the TQ? I was asked why I have LGB and not basically
because again, LGB is about sexuality, T has nothing to do with sexuality, and the Q isn't a thing. And neither is the plus.
I find the Q word horrendous, if I'm honest. I find the Q word a slur.
Exactly. When I grew up, that was a word that people used as a slur against gay people. It's not a word that's in my vocabulary as a result and refuse to use it. Okay, so these are things that perfectly reasonable things to, and nothing to do with football. You had not turned up with a big banner. Even those things I would still find acceptable, nothing criminal about them at the football match. So why had Newcastle United, why had the Premier League even got involved? What had happened to spark this?
Just one individual who's decided that they didn't like what I was tweeting. And they're the ones who basically, they spent a long time trawling through all of my social media. There's images in there saying, you know, the people I talk to referring to me as a TERF. I'm compared to a
radical
racist.
feminist, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm compared to a racist and all of the kinds of things within it. It's quite frightening the length they've gone to put this account together to send into the club to effectively get me banned.
They include some screenshots, some other tweets you posted saying that the trans lobby was homophobic because it wanted to trans the gay away. But this is the thing. This is this idea that, you know, if you're a girl who wants to wear trousers and play with trucks and not dolls, well, you're probably born in the wrong body. Well, or you may be either straight, or you may turn out to be a young gay person who, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to have surgery. You don't need to take any medication. You're just a completely happy, normal gay girl or a gay boy. You know, it's just and I couldn't agree with you more on this. You also pointed out some transgender people are suffering from mental illness. Well, yeah, I mean, gender dysphoria is what we used to call this, and it is a mental illness. It's perfectly honest. But the complainant said that if I were trans, I would feel extremely unsafe. So this person isn't even saying they're trans. Not that would be relevant. Had I had to share a space with someone so openly transphobic. Many of her tweets revolve around the LGBT movement, a trans exclusionary and discriminatory movement for members of the lesbian, gay and bisexual community to deliberately exclude and aim to discourage, discriminate and target the transgender community. She said, your tweets made a mockery, or he or she made a mockery of the trans movement, etc. And you had been engaging in conversation with a prominent TERF. I mean, you're doing it again now. How dare you? Now, the idea that anyone seeing this at the club, Premier League, police, anyone, didn't immediately go away, stop wasting our time, you stupid person, is extraordinary. And yet we know that they're all signed up to this madness. What happened next?
Well, the whole process began where I actually ended up reaching out to Harry Miller through We Are Fair Cop. And as soon as I got in touch with Harry, everything just started falling into place for me, really. I dread to think where I would have been if I hadn't had Harry with me, because I've never even so much as been arrested, never even had a warning or a caution. So the sheer thought of going in for interview under caution was honestly terrifying.
I can't imagine. And again, being likened to a racist, it's one of the worst things you can be called in this day and age. You know? So we love Harry. Big friend of the show, and of course he himself has had, you know, as a former police officer himself, run-ins with the police for expressing his views, again perfectly legal, getting these, you know, non-crime hate incidents, you know, off his record and the like. He passed you on to the Free Speech Union and Toby Young, and they've been championing your cause. I'm a member of the Free Speech Union and love what they do on this front. And they're saying, look, you know, we're going to support you in an appeal. You've already appealed against this, but you got this ban until what, 2026 from your club?
Yeah, we appealed it.
They've already said no, but you're now going to go through some legal processes, because you genuinely, you get up in the morning, you eat, sleep, drink, love, live for football, don't you?
I do. I mean, it drives my partner, my girlfriend at home crazy, because everywhere she looks, the fridge is covered in signatures and pictures, like Kevin Keegan and everyone. You walk in my front door and there's pictures of me with Bruno and
I'm on
with,
her
Nobby
side.
Solano.
I'm on her side. But then, so this is, I mean, this isn't, oh, I can't go to a match once a year. This is what you do every weekend.
Yeah, it's what my week revolves around, really. Me and my mum have a small business. It's just the two of us. We run a little cafe, and I work 6 days a week with my mum. The two of us work extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I basically, my weeks would revolve around the football. If we had a home game, I was planning to get there. Whether I had a ticket or not, I'd be at the stadium if it was a home game, because if I didn't have a ticket to get in, I'd be sitting in Shearers and watching it on the telly.
Yeah. You love your football.
We were playing away.
But what do you make of the fact, this idea that something you've said has got, I mean, the police have decided what you said and what you wrote, not criminal, nothing to answer to. Oh, that side's over. But still, nevertheless, the fear that you had and the anxiety about that, extraordinary. But the fact that you've been banned, they've ignored your appeal from doing the thing you most love, well, you've done nothing wrong at all, and you've only found a lot of the information out about how they were judging you based on these subject access requests, sort of different from freedom of information reports, aren't they? But I've done those to find out what the government was saying about me over lockdown protests and things. It is extraordinary that these organisations are compiling dossiers on random woman who's got views about whether or not trans women are women or not. They had photographs of you. They talked about where you walked your dog, where you lived. This is really sinister stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part about it is before all of this actually kicked off, I probably will get upset because I do every time I talk about him. I actually lost my dog 3 weeks before all of this kicked off.
I'm so sorry.
So since all of this has started, I haven't even been able to grieve my dog.
Yeah.
And then to find that report with images of me walking him was it was very hard to look at.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Very hard.
I bet it was, on top of all the other stress as well. Nothing. Hey, they're part of our family, dogs. No shame in that feeling that grief at all. You're going to appeal all this, though. You're going to take this to court. I mean, my view is you should sue the backside off everyone involved, but especially just finding the irony that a club that is owned by the Saudis. We know how the Saudis feel about gay people and trans people and women's rights. The idea that this club, of all clubs, should be banning a lesbian woman with views which are in line with the vast majority of the population, even if they weren't, are still the legal views allowed in freedom of speech laws in this country from their stadium. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming to be the most eloquent person with the things I say sometimes, I don't say it to cause offence. Sometimes it's out of emotion. I think I'm human. Everybody.
Oh, the line is going just at this crucial moment, Linzi. Hopefully you've just frozen. Hopefully we will get it back. These things have a habit of just suddenly coming back. But yes, we've got you. We've just got you back. You're just saying, you're not the most eloquent person, you were saying.
Yeah, I can't always be the most eloquent person. I am aware that, some of the things I've said can't, I am aware of that. Some people go, because when you take things out of context, it can. Yep. But nothing I ever say is out of hate, born out of hate. It's sometimes I'll tweet out of emotion, sometimes out of anger. And I think there's plenty of people in this world that do that.
Exactly. Hey, you've got the right to say what you feel in this country, and as you should. And again, I think particularly as a young lesbian woman, when we see young girls in this country being told that they're probably born in the wrong body and they should cut their breasts off and take drugs and have their entire lives completely altered, their bodies altered, and that they actually, the majority of these young women may well actually just turn out to be lesbian, I think you're damn right to be emotional about it and angry about it, and you can tweet whatever you damn well please. Listen, anything we can do to help you with that battle for justice, we'd love to back you here, because I think it's outrageous. Good for you for speaking out about this. And Newcastle United, if you're watching, you are embarrassing yourselves. This woman should be at her matches. She loves the club more than any of the people in charge. I can certainly see that. Linzi Smith, thank you for joining us. Thank you for fighting. I know a lot of people who fight these battles for freedom of speech on behalf of women and girls, they don't choose the battle. They get dragged into it. Maya Forstatter, J.K. Rowling and others, they get dragged into it. But you are fighting the right fight. You're fighting on the good side, and history will absolve you. So good luck to you. Look after yourself and stay in touch. Thank you very much to Benedict Spence.
I mean,
it's so sinister and scary and mad and insane at the same time.
I mean, when you were reading out what the allegations were, even the way they were phrased, it was almost like you were sort of reading a Stasi rap sheet from a known collusion with a known turf or something like that. It's that strange sort of, I'm sorry, what? What is this?
Do you know what it reminds me of? Remember not the 9 o'clock news? I remember Rowan Atkinson being a police officer talking about a case, one of the claims brought against it was a case of racist police officer, a black man was loitering with intent to use a pedestrian crossing. We're in that level of territory.
Yeah, we are. But of course, that was always what a lot of these things satirising was what we knew was coming and down that direction if nothing was done. But I mean, a football ground is an exclusionary place by definition. That's what a football crowd is like. I mean, I probably utter several hate crimes every time we play Newcastle United.
You see what I say in the break about you.
Absolutely. I mean, Chelsea, that's another thing entirely. But, ultimately, that's what a lot of it is. But it doesn't mean that you hate the people. It doesn't mean that and this has nothing to do with football at all.
But again,
this
also,
is just speaking.
Nothing to do with it. She wasn't something she said at the crowd. I completely. If someone is shouting abuse or racist stuff or homophobic stuff in the crowd. Yeah, damn right, I want them out. People should be allowed, when people are taking their kids, people should know that it's a safe place to be.
I reserve the right to call Anthony Gordon Claire Balding because he looks like Claire Balding.
Exactly.
If that's a hate crime, then
but again,
fine.
it's like, well, if someone's offended, if one person, again, I don't care. I get this on Twitter, people say to me, I'm offended. And I'm like, well,
great. Good for you.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. A woman came up to me in the street the other day and said, I'm very angry about things you said. And I went, I can't repeat the language I used, but who do you think you are accosting me in the street?
It's one of those things where you're just kind of like, well, do you expect this interaction to change my opinion?
Well, in that case.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now that I know that I got to you, I'm going to stop.
This woman's views, I mean, again, look, she's on the right side of history. Her views, it's just extraordinary. But this is all sinister. This is all, it all ties in with Nigel Farage, the debanking, and then he talks about it and goes, oh, who cares about Nigel Farage? Oh, and it turns out thousands of people have this happen to them. And Toby Young at the Free Speech Union, they've opening up a hotline. They've got on their website. They've got information. You can seek information yourself if you've been banned. You're not quite sure what's happened, and get information. And you can do these subject access requests to find out why on earth this is happening. We need to expose this because there's a lot of organisations, and it's always like this. It's banks, it's big business who do everything. I've no problem with the profit motive. You can earn whatever you want, that's fine, as long as it's legit. But then they try and sort of, transwash everything, pride wash everything, or greenwash everything by trying to be holier than thou. But the idea that a club that is owned by the Saudis should have any moral claim on what any lesbian woman or anyone should have to say on trans issues, which massively impact on women, and particularly gay women in this country, they're for the birds.
The thing, to go back earlier, actually, to what Liz Truss was saying about left-wing activism.
Yeah, we haven't taken it off.
Very often what will happen is that people who have an activist mindset will seek to infiltrate large, profitable organisations on the basis that even if you then push these agenda, the customers won't go away. Newcastle United fans, the bet will not stop going because of this.
No.
If people
but they
find
should.
Out.
You know what? If you are a Newcastle United fan, there should be a petition right now, and you should all say, we will not attend matches until this woman's reinstated. She's one of us, and it could have happened to any of you. You should stand up to this. I know you love your club, but you should stand up to this. You should say, this is not good enough. When these organisations tell us we cannot speak freely about the stuff we know to be true, which we know to be a threat to our children, which is trans ideology is a threat to our children. Telling them the lie that they're born in the wrong bodies is a threat to children. When you do not stand up for that, then it carries on. And the politicians aren't going to do anything.
Nope.
They're useless. Even the ones that talk the good game, they don't do anything about it. It's up to ordinary people who bring those cases, who take that stand. Boycott, Bud Light, all of that. Wicks. And the amount of times I have to drive past Wicks to go and get something, I could get a Wicks. No, you've told me I'm a bigot. So I don't want to give, you said you don't want my money. I ain't giving you my money again.
Yeah.
We need to stand up. There are more of us than there are of them. And we need to stand up for our right to express views that other people don't like. You can express views I don't like, but I will not call for you to be cancelled.
I still think, though, sadly, that we're a very placid country and we haven't quite reached critical mass yet.
No.
You raised the example of Bud Light. That's in the United States, where actually there are a lot more activists just by their nature. In this country, all of the lines you used to hear about the Englishmen and their freedom, COVID paid to that. People were prepared to put up with a lot of things they shouldn't have.
I know people disappointed in me early on, I mean, I thought there was some medical evidence. There wasn't. They lied. But yeah. That's the
a couple of weeks you can accept, but actually the long term, what COVID showed us is English men and women will put up with a lot more than they claim that they'll put up with. Ultimately,
that is the worry.
That's what it is.
So much more to talk about, but we're going to move on. We're going to talk back more about dentistry.